And one of the biggest topics this week, LeBron James, in his discussion of the NBA, China, and Daryl Morley's tweet about China. Now, you would think the story would go away, right? I mean, after all, the NBA got to China, had some snafus there, had some issues. Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, attempted to deal with them. But this is the wokest of the woke sports leagues in America, and that means their mouths are not going to stay silent. In the words of Laura Ingraham, LeBron James and company not going to shut up and dribble. And in this case, LeBron James should have just shut up. He should have just said, hey, look, I don't know enough about this situation. Instead, what he pointed out to us was exactly what I told you last week. The NBA's move in China and their reaction to Daryl Morley's tweet was all about craven capitalism. There's a difference between being a capitalist and making sure that you can care about humanity. And what the NBA is doing here. The NBA is straight up going for a cash grab. LeBron James proved it this week. What did he do? Well, first he decided to say this. And then he decided to tweet out that, oh, I wasn't talking about the content of what Daryl Morley had to say, just that there could have been a better time to have said it. So all that LeBron James is saying here is, oh, that's right. I don't care about anything other than the bottom dollar. Now, remember back to the start of the show when I said inequality anywhere is a threat to equality everywhere? That was a tweet that LeBron James put out. That is a quote, no less, of Martin Luther King Jr. saying that inequality anywhere is a threat to equality everywhere. So what could be more unequal than human rights abuses of China right now? Right now, there's 1 million Uyghurs, Muslim people who have lived in that land for thousands of years at this point, for at least 1,800 years. And they've been Muslim largely for roughly 600 to 800 years, depending on your look at history. Okay? These people are historic to the region that they live in. China is persecuting them for their religious beliefs. And it's not just persecution, it is flat out murdering them. They are looking to wipe the Uyghur population off of the face of the earth, because if they do that, that's one less religious sect that they have to worry about. And don't you forget about this. The Socialist, aka the Communist Party of China, do not like religion, just like any socialist would, just like any good communist wouldn't like religion. So this is what this is all about, eliminating religious belief, because once you have religious belief, you have free thought, especially against a Chinese party that advocates for collectivism and no free thought. So it's a danger to the Communist Party for that to happen. But they're not just going after them. They're putting them in concentration camps. They're starving them. They're putting them through 10 hours of re-education every day, whatever that means. Now, if you're a student of history, this sounds awfully like the Nazi Party of 1933 through 1941. They were just re-education camps. All that they were doing was working them to death, starving them to death, doing all the things other than the gas chambers. Could that be coming next for the Uyghurs? Where's LeBron James, who's supposed to be this social justice warrior, standing up for the rights of human beings to have religious beliefs? Where's LeBron James saying killing people simply because of their religious belief? Not cool. You had an opportunity with the NBA being in China to actually put into practice what you preach to us every single day. You continuously tell us about the inequalities of the United States of America and how terrible this country is. Yet at the same point in time, when rubber meets the road with true, utter, undisputed human rights abuses, You stay silent just so you can protect $1 billion bankroll for you and your fellow players? Now, I also want to make this clear. Daryl Morley is not some virtuous person here. He's not somebody who did the good thing and stood the good fight. Let's not forget that he backed down the second there was backlash from the Houston Rockets and the NBA. What did he do? He deleted the tweet. Now, of course, that had a lot to do with pissing off China and all of those things. But ever since then, where has Daryl Morley been about talking about this subject? He's been nowhere to be found. I want you to think about that. Daryl Morley has been nowhere to be found on this subject anymore. He's been effectively silenced by the NBA. If Daryl Morley truly believed what he said about Hong Kong, right, and the fight for democratic freedom, if LeBron James believes in the freedom of speech and the things that he claims to believe in, why not take the opportunity when the stage is the biggest to stand up and say something about it, to do something, to act instead of just gab, gab, gab? None of these people did it. Sending out a tweet about your advocacy for a specific issue does nothing unless you can back it up with physical action or money donated to the cause. Now, maybe Daryl Morley has donated to the cause and just hasn't said anything publicly. That's definitely possible. At the same point in time, there are such things as universal American values. And one of those values is freedom and democracy. Now, we have also had an entire, almost 20 years of history here to tell us that spreading democracy by force doesn't necessarily work. The people have to demand democracy, want democracy, have a history of understanding what democracy and parliamentary procedures and all of those things look like. Hong Kong is a perfect example of a place that we should be advocating for freedom for. They had that experience with their rule under the British. They understand the autonomy of democracy. They understand what it takes to build a society off of democracy. They're craving for it. They're asking America for your help. Instead, LeBron James puts his boot on their throat and says, nah, I'm going to take the millions or billions of dollars from China over doing the right thing. And that's the problem that I ultimately have with all of this. These people, they talk a big game on the little stuff. When it really matters, when you've got to have skin in the game to care about it, right? When you may face arrest or negative consequences. What does LeBron James say? Well, guess what? If there's negative consequences, maybe you shouldn't say anything. You could have waited a week. I'm sorry that was an inconvenient time for you. But this isn't a universal American value. Stand up for it. It's not that difficult. Really, LeBron James, it is not that difficult.